Yo, what's Gucci, guys? It's Furian here, and just wanted to do a guide on Fury Warriors. This is my first time doing this, so bear with me. but so I want to start with talents. Overall, in my opinion, for BGs, there is double time, which you can charge twice, and you can either like charge, you'll be on a target, you just smack them around and all that stuff, and if like especially if you're going against mage comps, you want to go with double charge. You would charge in, most likely they would blink, then you would charge again, or sometimes they would like blazing speed, which you would charge again. So what you want to be in is double time. I actually really like Warbringer. I do not like the 20-second charges. I do not like it. I like my two charges that I can use whatever I want, and those two charges are actually really good against a lot of comps out there and BGs most likely. But especially like in mage comps and against like druids and stuff, like with them using displacer beasts, you can charge in. Mage or druid would most likely either displacer beast or blink, and then they would blink, and you could just charge to them again. And if the mage were to blazing speed, you just leap to him, slow him, whatever, and you could constantly be on the mage, unless you get rooted and kind of screwed. But charging Juggernaut is decent if it's not really enough. If it's not against a comp that you can't just get on, that can just keep on kiting you like hunters and stuff. Juggernaut, I wouldn't recommend it. Double time, I think, is overall the best. Now for the healing spec, I guess you can say, for level 30, Enrage Regen is right now is actually really good, especially with Glyph of Rally Cry. So basically, that's good for when you use Enrage Regen. First, use Rally Cry, and then Enrage Regen would basically double its healing almost. Second Wind, I do not like. The Second Wind, in my opinion, is only good if you're soloing raids or whatever, because you cannot die with it. But overall, it's not good. Impending Victory, it's shit. It's terrible. Like, it barely does any damage. 30-second CD and doesn't even give you that much healing. It's not worth it. Maybe for leveling, but other than that, no. Wild Strikes, I haven't really fiddled around with that too much, but I heard it is pretty decent. But me, I like the sudden death for the execute proc, especially if you go on mastery. It's mainly this sudden death is mainly for burst, in my opinion. It does insane damage. Unquenchable Thirst, I do not like. It's not good. Bloodthirst has no cooldown. It's not worth it over this damage. Yeah, you can keep spamming it, but it doesn't do that great of damage. Now for the CC, I like to call it, for level 60, Stormbolt right now is really good for like 3s and like I guess you can say try hard 2s if you want to like CC the healers and stuff like that. This is pretty good. And Shockwave is pretty decent, like maybe in BGs or something, but it's really good against like double melee comps like TSG and Kitty Cleave and stuff like that. This is overall pretty good against double melee. Dragon's Roar is not good in my opinion. It's a minute cooldown. It only does a short knockback, and it barely does any damage. For the 75 talent, Mass Spell Reflection is actually pretty good against, let's say, like God Comp or like more against the caster cleaves. It's actually pretty good. Safeguard and Vigilance are kind of the same thing, except Vigilance is a 2-minute cooldown, and it does 10% more damage reduction. But Safeguard is a 30-second cooldown, and it only does 10% less than Vigilance. So overall, Safeguard is pretty good. And plus, you can get to your target. It can be an offensive ability and a defensive ability. You can safeguard your fuck. You can safeguard your fucking son of a bitch. You can safeguard your partner, and you can just automatically go on to the target he or she is on. And it could also be a defensive ability to where, oh crap, you're in trouble, and you need to go to where your healer is. Let's say he's by a pillar or just away from where people are. Intervene. You can intervene to him, or then just kite around the pillar, have him throw some hots on you or something, and you'll be good to go back and fight. Now for the level 90 talents. I think the only thing good is Avatar. It is a 1.5 minute cooldown, which Avatar and Stormbolt can be reduced cooldown if you use anger management, which every 30 rage that you spend reduces the remaining cooldown of several of your abilities by 1 second. Which if you use Wild Strike when it's able to use, and basically all these that require rage to be done, these Avatar, Stormbolt can be reduction of a cooldown. To where 30 seconds, it can turn into 20 seconds. Avatar, it can turn from 1.5 minutes to a minute, which is pretty damn good. Bloodbath, in my opinion, it is not good. Yeah, it does slow them, and it does put a bleed on them, but in my opinion, it's not all that much damage. Blaze Storm is pretty good against some comps that you're just completely just snared in all that all the time, and you can't really move all that much. I think Blaze Storm is pretty good because you can get out of that and do a pretty decent amount of damage with it. Now for the level 100 talents. Anger Management is insanely good. And like what I said about Avatar and Stormbolt, it reduces cooldowns for every 30 raids that you spend. It could reduce Avatar, Bloodbath, Blaze Storm, Stormbolt, Shockwave, Dragon Roar, Mocking Banner. I don't know why Mocking Banner's still in there. We don't have any banners. Heroic Leap, Recklessness, Die by the Sword. Ravager, in my opinion, it is only good in raids. Maybe in raids. Might still want to go with Anger Management, but it doesn't do all that good of damage. Siegebreaker, I have a lot of fun with Siegebreaker. Insanely overpowered right now. Use your full strength to slam the target with both weapons, dealing 22,000 damage and knocking them back and down for 1 second. It does replace your intimidating shot, which is your fear, but the damage on this thing is crazy, and I'll show you that in a minute. For the glyphs, I like to go Rude Interruption because I mainly play TSG right now, and it is pretty good if you train healers, because if you interrupt them, you gain 6% damage increase for 20 seconds, which is pretty good. Now I go Glyph of Shattering Throw most of the time, because I've been playing against a lot of mage comps and pally comps, and this is really good against that because you can break the bubble and ice block with it. But if you're not going against those comps, Blitz is also pretty good. Your charge also roots an additional 2 nearby targets, like against double melee cleaves. This is really good. If I'm not going those, I will go Spell Reflection because it's really good against like God comp and more of a caster cleave, because it reduced the cooldown on Spell Reflection for 5 seconds. But I mainly would always go Glyph of Rally Cry. While your Rally Cry is active, you also gain 20% leech, healing you for 20% of all damage and healing you cause, which is really good defensively. Now for gear wise, you would want to go full mastery, or try to go as much mastery as you can and get the enchants on your rings and stuff like that. But one thing I do like Single-Minded Fury, which is 2 one-handers, because I feel like I get higher crits with Siegebreaker and Execute. And the reason why I have the one-handed axe, it increases my damage by a little bit more. Alright, now for the rotation. Seems to me like when I'm in an arena, I would charge and I would slow them, but I would instantly get a execute proc. And then you want Mark of Bleeding Hollow, like the enchant on your weapons, to proc. They will proc right when you charge to them. Bloodthirst, you will get that execute, and you will get both of them to proc, which that increases your mastery by 500 per weapon to 1,000. So what you want to do on the opener, which I run TSG a lot, what I would mainly do once I find the healer, say like it's a shaman, you would charge to the shaman, bloodthirst, pop your cooldowns, stormbolt, execute, siegebreaker. Then you would just bloodthirst again, or if you have ravager procs, just use those to hell, because those still do a lot of damage. What you can also do with siegebreaker is you can siegebreaker, and if your charge isn't on cooldown, you can charge them, because siegebreaker does knock the enemy away. You can siegebreaker, run, and charge to him. One thing that some Fury Warriors, if you're new to it, what you might not know is that Berserker Rage also gives you a Ravager proc. So just throwing that out there. For my macro, for my cooldowns, I do use slash cast Recklessness, Bloodbath if I'm using it, my Trinket, Primal Gladiator's Badge of Victory, and slash cast Avatar. All that in one cooldown. Now, if you do not kill the healer or the DPS in that burst, there is a lot sustainable pressure you can do with Fury. As in, you can still use your Bloodthirst and just kind of stay on the target, get a little sticky with them and all of that. And then once you get like one Ravager proc, you can use a Berserker Rage and just bam, bam, get some pressure in there. Bloodthirst, if you're lucky, you'll get another proc. You have your execute, and by 1 minute or 1.5 minutes, your avatar will be up for another burst, and you would have a smaller burst in between your recklessness burst, which will be your avatar. That burst can do a lot of damage with just the execute proc and siegebreaker. Even if they're not dead from that, there would still be an execute range, which you can just spam that execute and it would get a for sure kill. Unless, you know, they block or whatever, but if you do it fast, more than likely you will get like a mage before block. They'll get global basically. Priest before dispersed, shaman without link, pally without bubble. If you do it fast enough, they won't have enough time to react. They would try to, oh, let me holy shock, let me just try to blink out of this, let me try this, and they wouldn't bubble, or block, or disperse, so on and so forth. But overall, that's the Fury PvP guide that I have, and I am new to this, and sorry if my mic quality isn't the best. It is a little older mic, but hope you enjoyed, and if you learned something from this, or if you want to throw out something that I missed, which I'm pretty sure I did. I'm not the best Fury Warrior, but I think I'm fairly decent at it. Just throw it down there in the comments and just tell me what you think. Thanks.